In this episode of The Business of E-commerce, I talk with Carolyn Lowe about selling on Amazon in 2020. This is The Business of E-commerce, episode 134. Welcome to The Business of E-commerce, the show that helps e-commerce retailers start, launch, and grow their e-commerce business. I'm your host, Charles Plesky, and I'm here today with Carolyn Lowe. Carolyn is the co-founder of ROI Swift, an agency that she started in 2015 to help consumer brands with Amazon, paid Facebook and Instagram ads, and paid search. I asked Carolyn on the show today to talk about, as a retailer, what you should know selling on Amazon in 2020. So hey Carolyn, how are you doing today?
Great. How are you, Charles?
Great to have you on the show. And yeah, I'm doing well. Here in the COVID world, I normally, if people are watching a video, I normally shave every morning, and my Dollar Shave Club razor broke in half this morning. So I'm waiting for a new one. So if you're watching on YouTube and you're wondering why I have a beard, that's why. So we'll see how fast Dollar Shave Club ships. But that's how I'm doing. So how about yourself?
I'm doing well. It's just hot and humid in Austin, Texas. It's pretty much summer here. So I'm happy to be inside.
Nice. We're just talking like the razor, because I can't run out and just buy a razor in this COVID world. We were talking before the show about Amazon and just some of the changes that have been affected recently. Shipping times, logistics. I've had a few guests on and just kind of talking about recently. It feels like 2012, like the entire world has like shifted. And the way I'm seeing it is this could be not a temporary thing. This could be the new norm, I think. There's a lot of retailers now we work with here that I was talking to someone the other day and they're like, yeah, we're doing Black Friday numbers. I'm like, oh, it's great. They're like, yeah, every day though. Like every single day is like basically Black Friday. And I think for certain folks, this is the new norm. And we've been talking about, you kind of mentioned Amazon has some big weaknesses that have been shown, right, in the past 3-4 months at this point. So could you kind of talk about those a bit?
Yeah, I think there's a few things. So Amazon's competitive advantage was always that they could get it there faster and cheaper than retail, right? So you would get, when I had young kids, I had a subscribe and save subscription for diapers, and I wouldn't have to run out to Target and go get diapers. Every month, diapers would appear, and I wouldn't have to go pack up my kid and go get them. And now, as you've seen, Target, Walmart, they have curbside, they have online shopping, they have much faster delivery, and they're finally taking advantage of their competitive advantage, which is they have all that inventory within 5 miles of you. So Amazon is opening a lot more fulfillment centers. They've gone to one day Prime for a bunch of customers. So if you're a seller on Amazon and you have enough inventory, you can actually, your products are one day or same day eligible. This was, of course, pre-COVID. They're obviously prioritizing certain products now, but and the other big thing is in grocery. So Amazon actually lowered fees the last couple of years in grocery down to 8% from 15% to try and capture more of those folks, because you can't be profitable, right, selling a jar of peanut butter online and paying 15% to Amazon plus shipping fees. So they're getting, I think, much better about trying to take what used to be their competitive advantage and find a way to win again against retail. I think, Charles, I think you've probably seen the news about Walmart and Shopify as well, right?
Yeah, it's definitely Shopify's been a big, that literally pops up every day now on the massive growth as well in their stock and just kind of how everything shifted there.
Yes. And I would say, 90% of our e-commerce clients are on Shopify. If someone comes to us on BigCommerce or Magento, we sort of will work with them, but it's definitely 10 times harder than on Shopify. So I think Walmart has gotten real smart about what's going on and bringing those smaller retailers to Walmart that don't want to give up their sales and give up the customer to Amazon. I mean, obviously that's the downside of Amazon is Amazon owns the customer. You don't own the customer as a small brand. And so that's what, Amazon is like the devil you have to deal with sometimes if you're a consumer brand and you're sold in retail. For these smaller emerging brands on Shopify, I think the Walmart Shopify partnership is very interesting, where it gives them a platform, but they can still own the customer.
So actually, I want to talk a bit about that partnership, because I saw it briefly, but do you know the kind of the details on how that works?
Yeah, it sort of at a high level where they're allowing Shopify folks onto their Walmart platform. So Walmart and Target, it's always been interesting to me that they've started to allow third-party sellers. So Target allows advertising. So you can run advertising on Target and not be sold in Target. So I always thought that was strange that you're on Target and they would let somebody else advertise a competing product. But, when you look at the advertising market, Amazon has now surpassed Microsoft's Bing platform. Amazon recently did $4 billion in advertising. So that's like another whole company just in Amazon advertising. And I think the Walmart Shopify will be very similar, where Shopify merchants can advertise on Walmart and they'll pay a referral fee.
Gotcha. Yeah. And the benefit of you're doing that, you're growing your brand because so right now, if people don't know, you check out with Amazon and everyone kind of does this little sneaky thing where they like put something in the box of like, hey, this is actually like XYZ seller. Not supposed to do that. You could probably get blacklisted for that. But also like the email address you don't capture, like everything is kind of Amazon's property. And you're really there as a retailer to fulfill the order. But with Walmart, they're giving you the full customer details, and then you can market to that customer again, upsell later on. Like a post-purchase sort of thing. So you have access to all of that now.
Exactly. And I think it's a great market for them because this as a software guru is that once you just hook that up, I mean, in my Dell days, I had to deal with Retail Link with Sam's Club, and that was like a complete and total nightmare. But I mean, they've picked the winning e-commerce platform. And so, basically any Shopify person and making it simple for those Shopify businesses to get out there on Walmart. And Walmart's realizing, hey, we don't want to take all this inventory and we don't want to hold all this inventory, sort of like Amazon. Think about like the Costco model too, right? I've worked with Costco from my Dell days, and they make all their money on membership fees. So I think Walmart will be the same. Hey, we don't have to carry all this inventory. We don't have to hold it. We can just make referral fees for people to list on our platform. And I think it's a smart move on Walmart's part.
Today's episode is sponsored by Drip. Drip is the world's first e-commerce CRM and a tool that I personally use for email marketing and automation. Now, if you're ever in an e-commerce store, you need to give Drip a try, and here's why. Drip offers one-click integrations for both Shopify and Magento. There's robust segmentation, personalization, and revenue dashboards to give you an overview of how your automation emails are performing. One of my favorite features of Drip is the Visual Workflow Builder. It gives you a super easy way to build out your automation rules visually and see the entire process. It lets you get started quickly, but also build very complex automation rules. It's powerful, but also easy to learn, unlike a lot of email tools that offer the same type of automation. To get a demo of Drip today, you can go head over to drip.com/BOE. That's drip.com/BOE. Now, onto the show.
Yeah, well, it changes their entire business model, right? Because right now, Walmart has to directly negotiate with buyers, get the cheapest they can, and it's on them, right, to always be pushing back. Now, they don't really, because they kind of saw what Amazon did, they don't have to. The retailers will basically compete against one another, and Walmart gets to just list it, they get their cut. So even if you're a retailer and you're selling at a loss, they still do well. So it kind of gives you that. But if they're giving you the customer at checkout time, that allows you, even if you're selling for very, very small margins, you could still have that customer and look at the total lifespan of them, sell them a product, next month, remarket to them, that sort of thing. So you have access to all that now. So you can actually, as a retailer, still make money even with those tight margins, which is pretty neat.
Yes. Exactly. And you don't have to go spend on paid search and paid social, although that's our business. You don't have to go spend on paid search and paid social to go get those folks to come to your site. They're already on Walmart. So you can, again, Amazon has 3 million shoppers. Walmart, I don't know the exact number of their .com shoppers, but it's a lot bigger than, your own Shopify site.
Yeah. Well, that's always the benefit, right? If you're selling your own little .com, your Shopify BigCommerce, and you're trying to just get, attract people, you can go to someone and get ads, but it's an uphill battle, right? And at first, if you don't have any sort of big ad budget, you're clawing for each customer. Versus you go on Amazon, Walmart, you just list a product. If you're competitive price-wise and you have okay ratings, you're going to get sales. Just like automatic, you'll start moving product. And the neat part about that is it allows you to, well, first just move some product through. But the benefit of doing that is you can then go back to your suppliers and say, hey, we're actually, buying X amount per month from you. And then next month it's double that. And you can start moving some numbers. And then you have some negotiating power. Because at first when you're selling, your handful of orders, you really can't go to the suppliers and push back. But the nice part of the marketplace is it's not just, hey, you get this tiny little margin, but it makes you actually a lot more profitable on your main channel, which I've always found that trick kind of, once people realize that, like, okay, you can raise the margins over there, but it makes you more profitable all around, which is pretty useful.
Yes, absolutely. So I think that's also a really smart, and it's also less risk for brands because it's really only you're paying when you make a sale, right? So you're paying that commission on sales. You're not paying it on advertising, or because I've done that with some of our brands we've worked with in the past. So Target uses Criteo. They were using Criteo for third-party advertising, and so you could sign up with Criteo and basically run ads to show up higher on Target. And we tested it and spent a bunch of money, and it wasn't that great. Yeah. So I don't love third-party advertising that's just per impressions that isn't per sale. I don't love the platforms for certain of these that don't do as good of a job on cost per impressions. And that's why on Amazon we really prefer the sponsored products where you're paying cost per click versus some of the other advertising on Amazon, which is on Amazon and off Amazon, which is much more traditional display and doesn't perform as well as the cost per click on Amazon advertising.
So it's only on Amazon, it's only sponsored products at a CPC?
Sponsored products, sponsored brands. That one that you see at the top that's got three, normally it's like 3 products at the top. Sponsored brands, or you'll see that at the bottom as well. So those and product display ads. So if you go to a product page for, that great t-shirt you're wearing and you see an ad for somebody else's red t-shirt, that's product display advertising. So those 3 are all cost per click. And then some of the ones that are like Amazon retargeting, where Amazon does retargeting off of Amazon for you across the web. Some of those are, they get less and less effective once you leave the platform. So we've seen the most effective ROI is all those sponsored products, sponsored brands, and product display ads. Even sponsored brand video is doing really well for a lot of our clients, where you're going through the search results and there's a video ad rather than just a static product ad. Those are doing really well for our clients. And then off Amazon, we see that the return on ad spend goes down significantly once it's, even retargeting doesn't do as well off Amazon.
Really? So I'm always surprised. Surprised to hear you say that, because you always hear retargeting is like, just do it. It's always profitable. Just do retargeting. But you haven't found that with Amazon retargeting? We
haven't found it to be as effective. The interesting thing is that it really depends on the price point. We see this on Shopify sites too, on our paid search and paid social. Products with less than $100 AOV have obviously much quicker time to purchase. So like one of our clients has a $40 AOV and 85% of their people purchase within 24 hours or not at all. So that's where, we'll have a retargeting strategy where we'll only retarget for a day or two, right? Someone that we worked with that has a $400 AOV, we'll follow them around for 30 days because you don't tend to, drop $400 on a pair of boots, that day. So you want to think about it. You want to look some more. The interesting thing about Amazon is 69% of the searches on Amazon are non-brand. So they're not looking for, Brooks running shoes, most of the time. Maybe they're looking for, I just bought a ring light on Amazon because of all these working from home, and my light is lousy at home. And so I was searching for ring light and I wasn't searching for a brand name. So I think that that's really interesting that, you can capture a lot of that. But we've seen, retargeting works on Amazon, but it doesn't work as well as, say, if you're on your Shopify site and you do retargeting on like Facebook or Instagram. That tend to has a better return on ad spend than Amazon retargeting.
So you think, is it just the way Amazon's actually running the retargeting? Like what channels are they actually retargeting on when they run Amazon retargeting? Like where does it get displayed?
So that's a great question. It gets displayed. It depends on the type of one you're doing, but you can get retargeted on Amazon properties. So Amazon Prime Video, Amazon Kindles, Amazon Fires, all of those. You can also get retargeted on Google. So you're paying a bit of a markup.
Okay, I see. So they're marking. So they just basically are buying AdWords at that point and retargeting there and charging you a little bit extra. And you probably lose a little control, I'm guessing, when you do it that way.
You do, and you don't have a lot of insight. So do yourself a favor. Go look at something on Amazon. Don't buy it, and then go to a bunch of websites, and you'll see Amazon ads that have the product, the number of the stars, and the price. So basically, it's just almost like a feed.
Yep. Okay. So I've seen actually Amazon also run their own retargeting. So you go and this morning I bought my son a pencil sharpener, and then if I hadn't purchased it, those pencil sharpener ads for different pencil sharpeners would be following me around for the next month basically. And I've seen them do both, right? Where the ad for the one you were looking at follows you around, but then also just a generic pencil sharpener ad follows you around and I think that one Amazon is running to try to just pull you back in, or the brand can run their direct one right to you, right?
Yes, and occasionally they'll also do email retargeting. So the item you looked at plus 5 similar items.
Yep. Okay, interesting. So you're saying sponsored product, sponsored brand. So basically at that point, your Amazon is very intent based, right? Like you're going on there. I was literally sitting with my son. He was trying to draw a picture and he's saying, "Dad, he's 4," and he's saying, "Dad, the pencil isn't working. It's too dull." So I'm saying, "Oh, let's just buy a pencil sharpener." And within like a minute, I basically just purchased it. It was a very, very small transaction, right? Like under $10. So you're using those because it sounds like those are the most like intent based, right? So when you go and type in pencil sharpener, you're basically just pulling up right at the very top of that, and you want to be that first link that someone clicks on. Under $10, checkout, yeah, sure, 4.5 stars, great, let's go. Is that kind of the model?
Yes. So sponsored products, like I said, 69% of those are non-branded search. The other stat that Amazon has shared with me with our folks in Seattle, so we have some account managers in Seattle because of the size of some of our clients, is that 70% of people don't make it past page 1. So it's this vicious cycle of you need to be on page 1 to be seen, or else you're only going to be seen a third of the time or 30% of the time. But to be on page 1, you need to have good velocity and you need to be relevant to that search term. So you never want to buy pencil sharpener if you're a pencil case because, they're not going to buy that. So Amazon's algorithm for who shows up on the page is largely dependent on the relevancy of the search, and then your conversion rate really matters, right? Because Amazon doesn't want to show products of conversion rates of 10%, right? So our benchmark is usually like, if your conversion rate's below 20%, we'll go figure out why. Is it your product listing? Is it your advertising? Like you're sending bad traffic to your listing page, and that's why they're not converting. And so really, if you want to show up on page 1 and you're relatively new, you need to do a lot on the organic side, but there's only so far organic can take you. So for the most part, you do have to pay to play to get on page 1 for Amazon until you build up enough velocity that you start ranking organically.
Okay. What I've kind of found with smaller brands, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this, and you see this all the time. People start off, they want to advertise on Amazon. They have a small ad budget kind of going in. They want to try something. A lot of folks want to see something work, right? And they say, hey, if it works, I'll double down, I'll triple down, that sort of thing. But they kind of start by going first a small budget and kind of wide. And it never really gets like the engine never really starts pumping, right? It kind of just like peters a little bit, and then they say, hey, I got a couple clicks. No, like never really got enough data. And they just kind of say, scrap it. Let's just go back to organic or whatever they were doing before. I've seen a few successful retailers where they kind of start off and just go straight in and say, hey, we sell pencil sharpener we're just focusing all our ad dollars on that one keyword term, and we're just going like a lightning bolt right to that and just focusing on that. Is that like the strategy you've seen work, or what do you usually, when people are starting off, what do you recommend they focus or try different things, or what do you kind of say to that?
Yeah, so I think like those terms are hard to rank for, because they're big search volume terms. So we use a couple of tools where we'll look at the search volumes, and we'll also try and find some longer tail keywords that they could rank for more easily. So we'll put those words and phrases in the description. So, the title's important, the bullets are important, and then all the back-end information and search terms are important there, as well as the images are critical and other things. But those are the, the things that will get you ranked are your title, your description, your bullets, and, that's how you'll get ranked. And then, of course, your conversion rate. So in terms of advertising, a lot of times one of the other things we'll do is we'll set up a couple things. We'll do like a little auto campaign, which is sort of like Amazon goes and finds which products based on all that stuff in your listing would make sense. So search terms you hadn't thought of before. And then you can do manual campaigns where you say, I only want to show up on these search terms. But then the other one that we love is a product display campaign. So you can go out and find all the pencil sharpeners that are below 4 stars that are more expensive than you and show up on their pages. So say you're on a page of a $12 pencil sharpener that's 3.5 stars, and then your ad shows up on that product detail page that says, hey, here's one for $9.99 and it's 4.5 stars. So which one are you going to buy, right?
Okay, so I want to make sure I'm taking notes here. So basically, how do you do this? So you find out, so there's a way on Amazon to find all the products that are a higher cost than you, but worse star rating, and then just go after them, basically.
Yep. So you can do it. It's called like product targeting. It's called ASIN product targeting.
ASIN product targeting.
It's part of this. It's a product display campaign, and you say, okay, I want to find everything in my category, and then you can refine it even more and say, okay, I only want ones that are this stars or below, or these prices and below. So it's really like you find what I call the dogs in your category. And we've seen conversion rate work really well on those, right? If you're cheaper and rated higher, of course, consumers would want to buy that product more.
Yeah. Do they give you any insights into how many views those products are getting? So hey, like this is a 3-star product and I'm half the price, and just like this is the one, and just focus on that one, or are you just kind of hoping they get, because like these products could also be on page 10, right? And nobody's looking at them. They're also just dogs. So does it give you any insight into that, or?
Yeah, so it does. Like you can see all of your impressions and clicks and everything by ASIN. So ASIN is like, like Amazon's unique identifier. It's like ISBN for books and ASINs for non-books. So yeah, you can go through and see, okay, I saw the ASIN for this peanut butter does way better. And so you can turn on and off ASINs. You can bid higher on certain ones that are performing better. And where you have like an average cost of sale of 20% or below, you can say, great, I want to bid up on this one that's converting really well, and I want to turn off this one that, isn't converting. So it's down to that product level.
The ASIN is the Amazon Standard Identification Number. So if you want that little fun fact. Everyone says it, but I don't know how many people know that. So there you go.
That is a great fun fact. Look, I learned something today. I've been using that for 5 years, and I never looked up what it actually stands for.
Yep, this Amazon Standard Identification Number. That's such an Amazon thing to name something. That's a good one right there. I never heard of kind of just targeting. Basically, you're going right after your competitors at that point, and you don't go after your top, and do the smart thing, right? Don't have to go after the competitors that are better than you. Find the ones that are worse. And that if you're just going head to head, if someone's comparing apples to apples, you're just a better apple, and people are going to buy your product. And then at that point, so then you're basically right down the bottom where they say, I forget the term, not sponsored, sponsored products, right? So you're searching down on a product page, and it's like halfway down, you'll just be one of those at that point, right?
You can be one of those, or it will actually show up on that detail page right below the buy box where it says add to cart. There's usually one product featured below there.
Very cool. Any other tips like that? I like these little, that's a good one. Anything else that's kind of working right now?
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about sponsored video. That is working great. Big tip there is the sound is off. So make sure you have text over. We've seen people run ads that have voiceover, not text over. And, back in the pre-COVID days, if you were sitting in your cube, you're not going to have your sound on as you're shopping Amazon. So a lot of times, one brand gave me a great video. It was 30 seconds. So I cut it down with iMovie and I added text overlay, and that was getting a 15% ACOS. So meaning you were getting close to a 5x return on ad spend, 6x return on ad spend.
Oh yeah. I've seen the ones when they do it well, right? The video and audio, the text and the audio sync up, because what ends up happening is usually you're scrolling through, and unless you're a complete crazy person, you have sound off when you're scrolling in basically any app that you can. So you're scrolling, the sound's off, and you start seeing the text. And if it looks at all interesting, you pause and you start reading. And then if you're really interested, then you go hit that unmute button, and then you actually hear the audio. So you want both, I would think, right? Where they sync up. So then you're able to start with the text, jump to the audio, and then that means the person's engaged at that point.
Yeah. And a lot of brands don't have access to that. So what a lot of them will do, and I think is great, is just use like free audio as background music, because you don't need a professional voiceover, because like you said, 90% of the people are never going to hear it. So we actually say, you can shoot this and make a video. Like, you can do it with an iPhone if you need to. We've seen some amazing videos shot with iPhones, and then you just pop them into iMovie. I can't even draw a stick figure, but I was able to do iMovie and put text overlays and include the company logo on the first frame and all of that. So
there's some also very cheap. I'm trying to think of I'll find it in the show notes, but some very cheap ways to do voiceovers now, where I think I've hired a voice professional, and it's like, I want a male with a cool British accent, and just you get really specific, and it comes back for like such a small cost, and like they'll literally, and you can get like 12 different people will apply, and they're all just like cool British accents, and you're like, oh, this is fantastic. I can pick between my accent.
That is cool. It's like the Upwork of
it's
voiceovers.
What's the one? It's similar to Upwork, but it's like $1. One of those sites, and very good with voiceovers. I've done it on Upwork before, and the process takes a little longer. But if you kind of do, I'll find it. It's just very easy to get a voiceover. So that, I think even people that, because you don't, on an ad, you probably don't want my voice, sort of thing. Certain people just have not the right accent. So I think people make the project out to be a lot bigger than it really is. So you can get a voiceover done fast and cheap. And the nice part is just try it, right? A lot of this, I don't know if Amazon, are they doing dynamic ads right now where you can kind of slot in like 4 or 5 different creatives and it switches them around, or are they doing that as well?
Yeah, there's a bunch of different, that's more on the Amazon advertising, like the off Amazon advertising.
Okay.
The on Amazon is pretty standard, but off Amazon, they are doing a bunch of different testing options. What most people don't know is, they used to have a $35,000 a month minimum ad spend. So a lot of smaller brands, that wasn't a good fit for them. But as an Amazon agency partner, we're able to, use some of that, what they call the DSP platform, the display platform, to, maybe combine different brands' dollars together so that they can get onto the platform for, $10,000 to do some of this off Amazon advertising.
Oh, so is that the trick? So if you're small, you can go to an agency and, okay, so you can basically kind of like use as long as the agency is spending the 35, then, amongst many brands, you can get in at, couple thousand a month, let's say.
Yeah. So because we're one of like 200 Amazon certified agency partners in the country, we have access to some of these things, and we say, okay, great. Well, this brand can't afford 35. What if we get, 3 brands and total we spend, 35? And so that's one of the advantages of going with the agency. And also just a lot of times we have access to betas. So before sponsored brands came out for everybody, we got it for our brands. So the Seller Central, which is the back end of Amazon for third-party sellers who aren't selling direct to Amazon, we actually were part of that usability and a lot of the new features that are coming out that came out around. So now you have access to demographics, who's buying your product. You have access to not just click-through, but conversion data on different searches. So you can search on pencil sharpener. You can see who's ranked number one. You can see what their click share is and their conversion share. So you can see who you could be, who you should be going up against. So there's a lot of really interesting things that have coming out of Seller Central, and we've helped them develop, hey, this is what would be useful for brands to know.
Very cool. Yeah. Advertising is one of those things where you want to be on the betas or alphas or earliest on possible, whatever exclusive invites. I think most folks listening are old enough to remember when Instagram was cheap, and now it's not anymore. People remember when Facebook was cheap, and I'm old enough to remember when AdWords was cheap. So, at some point,
Me too. I remember 10-cent clicks.
Yeah, you could go on, insurance agents, and it was 10 cents, and this is great. I'll make money at this forever. And then it turns out that went up to 100, and now only select people. So now everyone kind of flooded in. But if you have early access to some of these platforms, and some I'm guessing aren't the most useful platforms, but others do really well, and all of a sudden you have this very short window where you can really get a lot of traffic through, and hopefully make those users your own, and then capture them for the long term. So that's a very cool thing, having access early on. I like that.
Yeah, and you're talking about cheap platforms. We're seeing great cost per clicks and cost per thousands on Snapchat, from Facebook and Instagram 5 years ago. And the interesting thing is the U.S. government hasn't come down on Snapchat. So they have all the data and purchase data that Facebook used to have access to a couple of years ago. So it's a very interesting platform. We've tested it. It doesn't test as well as Facebook and Instagram, but it is definitely much cheaper. So from a brand awareness and traffic standpoint, we're finding some great stuff there. And then we've got some friends over at the TicTac office in Austin. So they've opened a big office here in Austin, and we've got a TicTac advertising seat as well. So those are two of the.
How's TicTac ads doing?
We're just in the process of testing it out with a couple of brands. We don't have any statistically significant data to share yet, but I think those two brands will become interesting. As you know, there's been a lot of backlash with Facebook, and for the first time ever, there was a lot of Zuck hate going on out there. And, a lot of brands are like, okay, hey, if I pull from Facebook and Instagram, that's 80% of where my traffic comes from. What do you guys recommend next? So we're having a lot of those conversations around, okay, amping up Google Display, amping up YouTube advertising for brands that have video assets, looking at more Snapchat and TikTok and other platforms as well. If, when we sit around and think about what if you lost 50% of your business tomorrow, the two things that could happen, right, is Facebook somehow gets shut down, or, Facebook and Instagram get shut down, or Amazon, has no love lost between the president and Jeff Bezos. So, if something happens there and Amazon gets shut down, what do you do? So we're always thinking about what's the next thing and what makes sense if these platforms get shut down.
Yeah, I like the idea of Snapchat and TikTok, right? Because, and like you said, it's hard to get data at the beginning because sometimes they don't provide the data. Even around with Amazon, their advertising console was very, very basic. Or Shopify just came out with the ad platform, and they give as close to no data as possible. Just hey, as much to spend, and you're like, oh, okay, great, that's nice. But the nice part about that is a lot of people, if you can do well at that, a lot of people aren't. Right now, AdWords, Facebook, it's so dialed in that folks know for every dollar they put in, this is how much they get out exactly. So they're willing to go some huge numbers, and big brands can really invest. So you as a small brand can't. But some of these small platforms, you don't really have the data. It's still the Wild West. So the big brands haven't come in yet, and there's still a lot of opportunity because so the bad side of, is it's so crazy, but the good side is it's so crazy and no one else is willing to really get into it. So if you're the one that can really dig into that, it's, at the beginning, I think it's a great thing. So good one. Awesome. If people want to kind of find you, kind of see what you're working on, learn more about the agency, where can they do that?
Yeah, they can head on over to our website. And our website, we're like the cobbler with no shoes, right? We spend all our time driving traffic to other people's websites. So we do have a website, but don't judge us on the website. It's roiswift.com. You can also head over to LinkedIn and go to the ROI Swift page, or just connect with me personally. We do offer a free audit for anybody running Facebook ads or Google ads, or doing 20,000 a month or more on Amazon. And we'll audit and tell you if you're doing as good as you can, or if you could be doing better. So it's one of the things that we like to pride ourselves on is honesty. And we'll tell you if we can help you. And we never want to take money from somebody that we can't help. So you can head on over to our website and check it out.
Awesome. I will link to all the show notes. Appreciate you coming on today. It was great chatting.
Thanks for having me, Charles.